Welcome to the podcast. My name's Steven. This is Henry. Henry and I got together probably about a week ago and decided that we were going to make a podcast on books that we're reading. And so last week we read $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. Really good book, so we're going to just dive into that.
Yeah, we got together. I know Steven's been making content on YouTube for some time now, and we kind of just both talked about how much value books, business books in particular, have brought to us, and how much we've learned from them and learned from successful entrepreneurs, and kind of just wanted to get together and read books and go through them, keep us accountable, and yeah, so I'm excited to be here and dive into this one.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good one. This is a great book. If you enjoy this content and you want to see more of these, we're going to probably do one of these every week. Go ahead and click the subscribe button. We are going to be making a podcast probably every week. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's kind of dive into it, man. So honestly, I just want to ask you, what are your first opinions on the book as a whole?
Man, I thought, I've watched him in podcasts. I've watched Alex. I've heard him in interviews, and I've always thought, man, dude, this is a sharp guy. I'm not in his space. I'm not in his industry, but I knew I could learn something from him. He's got a lot of knowledge, and he talked about how much. I heard him in a podcast talk about how much work he had put into this book, how much time and effort, and just how much value is in there. And I started reading it, and I immediately found value. So
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think?
That's the thing that I love about like anything when it comes to Hormozi. He's very good at that. It seems like for whatever reason, every time like this book and the other one, like anytime I opened up the book, it's like immediately like I learned something new. Every time I've opened this, I mean I've probably read this book 3 times and scanned through it a bunch of times, and every single time I read it, like I learn something new. It's one, and it's so small. It's like I like it because it's like the business textbook. Like I like that. That's kind of what Hormozi's going for. Is like here's your textbook. This is how you do business because he's right. People don't teach it.
Yeah, but no, man, I saw. It's interesting when we talked about it. Offer. What is an offer? Because I see so many books about sales, how to be the best salesman, persuasion, how to get people to buy your product, whatever. But offer, that's interesting. You don't see $100 million offers. You don't see a lot of books talking about offers. So yeah, what is an offer to you, Stephen? Like,
for me, and I like the way that Hormozi says it, but I use offer as I know that the offer is the thing I'm telling the person, and it has to be valuable, right? So like if I tried to offer you a Lamborghini right now for $2,000, you'd buy it, right? You'd figure it out. Like you would go figure it out. It doesn't matter what you had to do. If I put a gun to your head and said like you have till tomorrow to go make this money and bring it to me, like you're gonna figure it out. And that's the thing about the offer is like if you can nail the offer, if you can make people feel that way with some of the tactics he's talked about in this book, but scarcity, urgency, guarantees, reason for people to buy, and they see the value, then they buy. And that's an offer is getting people to buy your shit.
yeah, hey, that's a good. So
what about you?
This is the I'll start with the definition you put in there. Offer the goods and services you agree to provide and what you require in return. So that's just the basic definition of what an offer is. So, that's not $1 million offer, $100 million offer, a good offer, a bad offer. That's just the definition. What goods and services that I'm going to provide, that I'm providing, and what I want in return. So monetary, for businesses we're in. So, I'll start where I've made bad offers that I know that don't work.
Yeah.
So offers that I've made that I've seen nothing come from, or even bad things come from, right? It's kind of when I start thinking, how can I make the most money here?
Yeah.
Whether that was the landscape industry, construction, or now real estate. When I start thinking about how can I get into this marketplace and make the most money, that's when I start to get myself in trouble,
Yeah.
because I'm equating, the money I make, and that's like the value that I'm going after. But when I go into, like real estate, when I go in and I'm like, how much value can I provide to my clients? What can I give this marketplace that it doesn't already have, or what can I give my clients that's going to provide them so much value that in return they'll pay for that value, right? And in return I'll get a good reputation.
Yeah.
So I think for me, when I look back, the offers that have been successful are the ones when I look from a client's perspective first.
Yeah.
If I was a client, what would I want? I wouldn't want some guy that's money hungry and greedy and, looking to cash a big check. I'd want someone who is creating something that he is passionate about, creating an offer that, that he's built up, and that he actually cares about me. He's not looking to just take the cash out of my pocket, but he's looking to advance my business.
Yeah.
So that's what a good offer to me is just starting there.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Like, I've made awful offers in my life. I've made some horrible, horrible offers, and it wasn't until I started to care about people that, like, even more recently, I've made pretty big offers, like very recently, and I was able to do that because I had conviction in the thing that I was doing. I knew that was worth that price, and so I feel like there needs to be a sting in order for people to really feel like they're getting a good return. Because I've made this mistake before too. I've charged people way less than I should have charged them, and then they complain the most. They didn't use the service and they didn't like it. Right. The ones that I've charged the most to, I don't talk to them. They get the results and they love it. Like that's why I think having an offer is so good, and why having a good offer is so important, and having a high price. Like, I actually believe that having a high price is very necessary, because otherwise people are not going to take you seriously. And so I think that's another interesting thing that I've learned here is that, like, the price to value discrepancy. The chart in this book where
Yeah, we'll
he
get
goes
down.
over that.
That's a
Yeah,
good that equation. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
liked that one. No,
yeah,
that's good though. I agree with that. And I also got to think, Patrick Bet David, he
yeah,
came out with the book Your First Five Moves.
yeah,
And the first move, it caught me immediately. It's mastering yourself. So figuring out who you are. And when I thought about, if I'm going to provide an offer, first I got to um, obviously have an offer that the clients will want, but I also got to be in a place. Am I in a place to provide a good offer?
yeah,
Am I out focusing on five different things and five different businesses and out partying, drinking on the weekend, and then trying to provide, this grand slam offer to people? Then, I mean, how productive is that offer going to be?
yeah,
So I found that too. Is I've got, to really provide a good offer, I've got to be all in. I've got to know everything about the industry that I'm offering to. I have to be right mentally. I have to be clear and concise. I have to know, what I'm offering and where I'm at.
yeah, yeah. I think that's very important when you're creating that offer, is the understanding the other person. That's why I love the steps in this book, because if it weren't for some of the steps where, like, for example, the one where it was like, find all the problems then find the solutions. I did that one time, and I had a whiteboard full of little writing on how exactly I was going to solve my client's problems. And ever since I did that, that helped me understand what I was doing with my product and my service and how I was going to help them. But I could have never done that if I didn't step in their shoes and realize that they might not want to do this thing because they don't like it. There's this one part of it that they don't like. It's like, I want
That's
to do
good.
weight
That's
loss.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to do weight loss, but I don't want to eat vegetables. It's
Yeah.
like, well, if you find a way around the vegetables, will you do it? It's like, yeah. So,
Yeah. It's like you in your marketing industry, man. You're not going to go market to, the ladies' salon if you don't know
yeah,
anything about how to color hair.
yeah,
You don't know what that marketplace needs or what it's looking for, what it wants. So you're not gonna. I mean, you can, but you better go learn everything about that
yeah,
industry, right?
yeah,
So that's so important that you said that. You got to know, who you're offering. You got to know exactly what they need. What they've seen come and go, what they've tried that hasn't worked, and you got to come up with the innovative solution of what's going to provide them that value to advance their business. So the next chapter is the one that's find the starving crowd. I thought that was pretty interesting. Like,
yeah,
I never thought about it that way. And he talks about three primary markets: health, wealth, and relationships.
yeah,
He says those are the markets that you should target.
yeah. If you had to target one of those markets, like, forever, which one would you pick?
I mean, health seems like a pretty surefire one. I
Yeah,
mean, you
health
can't you
does
can't
seem
go
like a
wrong.
good.
You can't go
Yeah,
wrong with a health market.
I would say that too. I think I like wellness, man. We're into wellness. Is that what, health, wellness, and relationships, or
Health, wealth, and
wealth?
relationships.
Wealth. Yeah, I think the wealth one. It's pretty. It's just hard, because the problem is, a lot of times there's these like ads. We were talking about this earlier today at breakfast. Like, there's these ads, and these people that are like, we're going to add $2 million to your bottom line, and that seems so scammy to me. And so I think a lot of people don't like to move that direction. But it is possible. Like, if you do the work and you look at how the process works, it's possible to do that. But a lot of people just throw it out in the front. You know, we'll do this to your business. So it's hard. It's a very competitive market, because it seems like everyone can add revenue to your business. You know, so
So what do you see, like, when you see the same marketing companies, the same ad agencies do the same thing? What do you see as a solution to that? So for
it's a
construction, for
rough.
example, or
Yeah, I mean, it's a
or car
rough.
detailing.
for me, my solution is so seriously, like, we're gonna have a human conversation. I'm not gonna sit here and do this like, let's hop on a sales call where I show you this pitch deck and then tell you about how everything works. Like, let's just talk, see how it goes. If you want to work with us, you can. If you don't want to, it's cool. Um, some people don't work like that. It's this big, like, we're gonna do this whole setup and this onboarding. You're gonna be a part of, like, no. If you buy something from Amazon, you're not watching a pitch deck before you buy it and then signing up for something and doing onboarding in this whole course, and then 6 months later, finally, you built that $20 Lego set from Amazon. Like, you buy something from Amazon and shipped and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So I've learned my offer. The things that I've done to change that is I've learned how to. You buy the thing, invoice received. We send you a notification saying, hey, your thing is on the way. Like, we shipped your product, and then within a couple of days, same day delivery, 2-3 days, you start getting results. I've been able to minimize that, which is the value equation. Time delay, take that down. Most agencies take anywhere from 2 weeks to a month to start operating. No, I'm operating. I just signed a guy yesterday. We're operating today. I set everything up. Tomorrow morning, he's ready to fire. He's ready to get some jobs in.
That's huge, man. I one of the things I added in for that primary market is health, wealth, relationships, and then I like, can time fit in there somewhere? Like, you're talking about someone's time, right?
Yeah.
The turnaround time of how you can help a client, and that's something I perceive as one of some of the best value you can give someone, right?
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think in the real estate industry, what I've seen such a gap in, and a lot of realtors and the industry as a whole has gotten a bad rap because what people will do is they'll get a call, right? Hey, I want to sell my apartment complex or my retail building off Northwest Broad Street, right? You go meet them, whatever, sign them up, and then they throw it on the MLS. They list it, right?
Yeah.
And then this property, it sits there for 6 months to a year maybe, because instead of showing the seller comparable sales or taking like an income approach or showing him what a similar property to his is selling for in the area, he listens to the seller, right? Tell him what he wants to sell the property for, and that doesn't do anyone good because it sits on the market for a year, right?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, the industry has gotten a bad rap for is an agent will pick up a listing and just let it sit there, right?
Yeah.
You won't work it, you won't market it, you won't take it to investors. They just sit there, and then maybe it sells. And a seller will look like that as what did I pay this guy for?
Yeah.
Just to throw it on the MLS. I mean,
how do you combat that?
And so I've kind of started to take a different approach, right? I've taken an approach where I've built up relationships with local investors, national investors, looking to buy more assets in our market. And so instead of me going out and, I have some stuff listed, but what I like to do more, instead of going out and getting listings and, letting them sit on the market, I like to just call. So let's just say it's a 12 unit. I mean, last Friday I closed on a 12 unit apartment complex. And what I did on that, and what I like to do, is go out and just start calling on owners of commercial properties, right?
Yeah.
And going ahead and underwriting the deal on the phone, getting all the rent rolls, lease agreements, getting all the information I can about the property while I'm on the phone with them, right?
Yeah.
After they tell me, yeah, I'd be interested in an offer, going ahead and negotiating a deal with them, going ahead and underwriting that deal, and then taking it to one of my investors. So instead of this process of, I go out and meet the seller at his property, he tells me what he wants to sell the property for, it's $200,000 too high, and then listing on the market for letting that sit, I go ahead and negotiate the deal with it, get it to a deal where I know I can take it to Steve in Nashville because he likes a triple net lease deal with national credit tenants at a 7 cap. I know I can negotiate that deal, take it to him, and he's going to buy it, right?
Yeah.
So I try to just work more on the buyer side and, that's more the tenant rep side, trying to source great deals for investors and clients rather than having a bunch of properties that aren't going to sell and just sit on the market.
Yeah.
And in return, the marketplace sees you, like you said, you have a quick turnaround time. You're providing value. You're not just some realtor who's trying to pick up 100 listings in the area just to have them sit there and, a couple sell a year just to make a check, right?
Yeah.
You're bringing both parties value, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way I've tried to be different and, bring more value to the investor side and the seller side, right?
Yeah.
If I can get an investor to close in 30 days, short inspection, short close, and get them their money, and they can bypass having to sit on a listing for 4 years with someone who's not working, and it benefits them too, right?
Yeah.
So
that's interesting that you say that, because once you establish that brand, that person, who you are, your perceived likelihood of achievement goes up, which is the top half of the value equation. So then you're able to get like people don't have to buy from you right now, but they can one day. Like I have friends that 2 years ago I was like, hey, I do this thing and like I can help you, and they said absolutely not. Like yeah, you've been doing this for a month. I've never seen it work. Where now I have a little bit more experience. I have proof that I've done that thing, and so people are more willing to work with me. But it took me establishing value for 2 years to that person for them to get to say, okay, fine, let's do it.
That's good, man. And I'll say, on my side of things on that, I might find a property, right? I might take it to 50 investors because I think it's a good deal and none of them might buy it, right? But those 50 investors, they see that I'm working the market, right? They see that I'm looking for off-market properties. I'm trying to bring them a good deal. And like you said, they might not buy something right away, but if they need something, maybe something I hadn't brought to them or they're looking for something, they correlate me with, hey, he's working that market.
Yeah.
He's not just sitting around picking up the phone. Like he's out there actively working, bringing me deals. Like he knows the market. So yeah, even if one of them doesn't buy something for me and for 5 years, right? That fifth year, if they buy a $5 million apartment complex, it makes it worth it.
Yeah, it is.
And he even talks about in the book chapter free goodwill, right? He talks about giving someone without expecting something in return.
Yeah.
So if you have a chance maybe to help a client, and it's not going to take a bunch of your time or you're not going to expend too many resources on it, but that you're building value with a big client, it's worth it for you to do something for free once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Because he sees that and he's going to pay you back for that, right? You're building trust with him and building value.
Yeah.
So I like that. He talked about that free goodwill. I mean, we can't do that every day, but there's a time and place where we can do that.
Yeah. It's there's a fine line because then on the one hand there's the I've given away too much free stuff before. I've given away free stuff and then after I did it, they didn't appreciate it, they didn't use it, and it didn't help them. That's a problem. That's why I think like content is the best free stuff you can give a customer or a potential prospect. Like you can say to anyone like, hey, I made this like podcast on offers and like here, like just check it out. You can do that, and that's easy. But as soon as you do like something very tangible for that person, that's um, too far, too much, like worth too much, they're gonna start stepping on you. That's a problem I've had in the past. Is like I had to respect myself before I was able to just start doing things like that for people. I got to make some money.
No, that's good,
So,
man. And like on the content part of that, that's another good reason to keep your niche because if all your videos are content on construction, right? Then you can just when you pick up new clients or talk to new clients, you've already got the videos on construction. You can send those out, right?
yeah,
So you've already got some of that free goodwill built up and some free value. You can go ahead and send them because you're not going to send a car detailing guy, something you've made on construction.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. But as soon as my videos go from, my videos right now are usually about like psychology and philosophy and business in general. But I mean, regardless, because I do think that to some degree, most of the businesses have the same problems, and it's like this guy got slapped in the back when he was in third grade, and ever since then, he didn't want to get bigger, like he didn't want to grow. Like that's literally it, usually. But when my content becomes, this is about like construction, this is how you do the nitty gritty, this is how we do things, this is how my clients do things, then it's like, yo, this guy is the guy for this. That's kind of the big thing. What I want to talk about the value equation. Is that
yeah. Let me pull that. So, top of the value equation is dream outcome times perceived likelihood of achievement. The bottom is time delay times effort and sacrifice.
what's your favorite one of those metrics? Like which one do you think is the most important?
Well, I think on the like a client standpoint, everything starts with a dream outcome.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the starting place. So I think that's huge. Like if you can tap into that, I mean, perceived likelihood of achievement. How do you take them from their dream outcome where they want to be, and then show them how you can get them there, right?
Yeah.
So that's like, how do you do that? That's like the hard, that's like this what we're talking about, the offer, right?
Yeah. I think that's important too because if you can, I always think that like it takes these three things for people to make a decision. It's will it work for me? Has it worked for other people? And will people support my decision? So like, do you like it? Can you pay for it? Will other people support it? and that will other people support it, that's the perceived likelihood of achievement. And it has nothing to, I mean, I guess it would have to do with like your family supporting your decision, but also other people doing this decision. Like, do you think if we did a transaction right now, would I would be like, this is, you're going to succeed. I believe that with this, whatever transaction you made, that you will succeed with this thing. Do you believe that? I believe that. The viewers, your family, like everyone will believe, and past experience. Do you believe that this transaction will work based on everyone else? I think the thing in the book was like, would you rather work with a doctor who's had one surgery or has never performed a surgery, or someone who has 10,000 surgeries? Like, which one would you pay more for?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'll pay for the. They got to pay me to go in that hospital and get the surgery from the guy with no experience.
Yeah. And then, I mean, that's like, kind of in the sense of like, how are you building your brand up,
Yeah,
and the importance of your brand and your reputation. And I don't mean by like having a good logo or a good website, but branding in the sense of you've done 10,000 surgeries, everyone knows that you're going to do 10,001
yeah,
good, right? Your likelihood of having a successful surgery is very high compared to the guy just out of med school,
yeah,
right? So that's so important. So how do you get your brand? How do you get your reputation? I mean, through clients, through referrals, through how do you get your brand where people see it, and they associate you with success? That's the goal, right?
yeah. I think personally, I want to establish a form of marketing, is just behavioral change. Trying to establish a behavioral change. So like Sprite, for example, like when you're drinking a Sprite, like you've changed your behavior. Like you wouldn't have drank a Sprite if it wasn't there. So like what action made you do that? Like it was available. Maybe you've tried it in the past. Like there's a lot of things that go into the behavioral change. But I know a company when you can I'll wake up in a Chick-fil-A and be like, this is Chick-fil-A. I didn't have to look at anything. I know I'm at Chick-fil-A. You know, and so to establish that, I think you need a lot of branding, a lot, colors should match, fonts match, and really so that way when people see you, they know your logo, they know your brand, who you are. And then also I think your personal brand too. Like I think that matters a lot, and it's not very separate from the company, but people know who I am because of the way I carry myself and the things that I do, and I'm going to continue to act that way. So as soon as I change my psychology, as soon as I change my behavior, they're like, that's not how Steven usually is, and then that shifts people away from buying the thing. But if everyone knows me as the guy that does this and I do it very well, and these are the kind of traits that I have, then they're like, well, I believe in this thing, and I'd be willing to do it. So I think personal brand is very big too, because even me, I'll cold call someone that I've never met in my entire life, and we'll close a deal just based off of the fact that I was like, let's just talk, bro. I don't want to. Let's just have a conversation. I
Yeah,
think
just
that's
just
important.
sounding real.
Yeah, and just being authentic. Like, look, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. This wouldn't make sense for you. Like, I'm just like that. That's not to scare you away. It's not some tactic. Like, you just don't need this. Like, you just don't need this thing. You
Yeah,
know?
so how can you talk, I like the point you touched on. How can you build in your business that inclusivity, like the something that it seems like it's almost a limited offer without sounding scammy, like saying limited offer, but like let's say this for example, like Chick-fil-A, right? Versus McDonald's. So Chick-fil-A, they're not going to throw up a Chick-fil-A on every corner in Murfreesboro,
Yeah.
right? They're going to put Chick-fil-A in the most densely populated areas. And then, once an area gets so, they have a certain population number in a certain radius, and then they'll put a Chick-fil-A there, right?
Yeah.
Why do they do that? Why is there, 4 Chick-fil-A's in Murfreesboro versus 15, 20 McDonald's?
Yeah.
You know,
I think.
they're building something different. They're
Yeah.
taking a different approach. When I think about McDonald's, what do I think about? In all honesty, I think about, I go there on a road trip if I have to. You know,
Yeah.
I go there because it's fast. It's very decent food. I mean, I'm not going to go there in my hometown.
Mm-mm.
Chick-fil-A, I'm going to go out of my way to go to Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They've branded themselves as a company and a fast food chain that makes good quality food. They have good quality workers. They take care of their employees. They don't just throw them up everywhere and let them all go to shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's a good point. You bring up location because I didn't think about that before. The difference I was making is like the behavioral change. You know that if you're walking into McDonald's, it's kind of going to be like almost it feels a little trashy in there. Like usually they're not very kept. I mean, like this one over here. Like sometimes you go into these McDonald's and you're like, wow, this is foul, and like the food is like kind of great. You walk into Chick-fil-A and it feels a little bit different. The atmosphere is different, right? And also the workers are different. Like, and I'll even say like the quality of workers, right? Because at Chick-fil-A they make you say my pleasure, or They make you be nicer. A lot of these people are nicer. They're happier people. But I've had times where I've like walked into McDonald's and someone's just kind of like, "Here's your food, bro."
Yeah, and that goes back to like the 100-year-old cliche, like quality versus quantity, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you have 5 Chick-fil-A's that have the same NOI as 50 McDonald's, right? Net
yeah,
operating income. I mean, why is that, right? Because they take so much care of those 5 Chick-fil-A's. They're always staffed. They always have workers. They're always going to deliver hot food, right?
yeah,
You know what to expect when you go to Chick-fil-A. When I go to McDonald's, I don't know if the burger's going to be cold, if there's going to be ice in my Coke, if the fries have been there for 4 days, and if I'll get my food, if it's going to take 20 minutes to get my food, right?
yeah,
So, I mean, the importance of that, just having the quality, right, over
yeah,
the quantity first, and then growing that. But
yeah,
there's something to say about that.
yeah. And I think again that raises the value. Like, look at Chick-fil-A's prices compared to McDonald's.
Yeah, they
You
can
know,
charge what they want, right?
that's it. Yeah, that's literally that's all it is. Like I think that's a really really great example because yeah, I mean Chick-fil-A is more expensive, but also it's higher quality. Now go to Chipotle. Why does Chipotle charge so much? It's like, well, the food's better, the quality's there. The value is there at Chipotle. That top half of the equation is so so important. But I actually think the bottom half,
Yeah, time, delay, and effort and sacrifice.
yeah, there's something about the bottom half, man, that just
So, what do you think on like, so time delay, like you're kind of talking about that earlier?
what's important about time delay is I don't want to put in a lot of time to do the thing, and especially in our situation, we're probably working with business owners, agents, that kind of thing. These people value their time, or at least they should. And so, if you can minimize someone's time, especially with your product or service, like I think even what's great about us is that I have services that I can utilize to help people reduce costs that they already have, internal costs that they already have, and the effort and sacrifice required to do the thing. Like I've actually met business owners who are writing names of their customers on a piece of paper, and they have a notepad with all their customer names on it. Like, bro, let's fix that. You need to get, and then they send out single emails, type out a single email to every single one of them. Yeah, it's personalized, but you'll also spend your entire Saturday sending out emails to people. Like, what if you just click two buttons and send out an email to everyone?
Yeah,
You know, and I think that's important.
no, that's huge, man. Like, I think about for me, if I'm the one that owns, let's say it's 10 unit apartment complex, right? I'm the
Yeah,
owner of that. What am I going to want? Okay, I'm ready to sell this property. I'm ready to 1031 into something else. I'm looking for something different. What's the best way to go about selling this, right? Okay, if I want to get it on the MLS and get it marketed and get it in front of investors, going to a realtor is going to be the best way to sell this property.
yeah,
But then I'm going to think, okay, I don't want to take this to a realtor who's so busy, who's just going to throw it up, not work it, and let it sit there. So if I can come to someone and say, okay, Steven, you're the one that owns a 10-unit apartment complex. So I can come to you and say, hey, I've got 100 investors that I stay in contact with annually, that I send properties with on a quarterly basis, and I can take your 10-unit apartment complex and get you 3 offers in the first month, fair market price offers, because I already have all the investors in the area. I know them. I know what they like. They on the MLS, they don't get on that. They don't go searching for that.
yeah,
You know, so if I can go to a seller and um, offer it that way, that saves them. What does it say? It saves them a lot of time, a lot of energy, right? And it gets them out of that investment when they're looking to move into something different.
yeah,
So I think how I can squeeze that gap from in the mindset that seller's in.
yeah, yeah. That's good. I mean, that's the more you can reduce that time delay. That's like people are just gonna buy. They're always gonna buy. And I've seen it like firsthand so many times. As soon as I can tell someone like I said, we have a 2-day turnaround. Like we'll get started. They're tripping about the price. Like, bro, you're gonna make your money back in 3 days. Like, what's happening here? And that kind of helps them with that. And I think that's important that you have guarantees and urgency and the like the kind of the rest of the book, like the guarantees, the urgency, scarcity, and the bonuses. Those are always things that I tell people we need to have in the offers. Like I usually come up with an offer with whoever I'm working with, to kind because odds are half the time they don't really have an offer that they've created. They don't read the book. That's why this is a great piece of content to share because most people don't want to sit down and read a book. That's just how it goes. But we come up with offers together, and I always say like let's figure out how you can minimize time because as soon as like even if you're like say car detailing, for example. If I told you I could ceramic coat your car and have it out in 12 hours, well, now I've beat everyone else in the market. Yeah, it might cost a little bit more, but I'm willing to pay that because I can't have my car at your place for 2 days. If you can get your car out to me, or if you can give me my car back in a day, let's do it. You know.
That's huge, man. I think I always think it always comes down to time and money, right? In a real estate deal.
Yeah.
Um, First thing is they want the right amount of money, right? And then they on the time side they want it done, quicker than slower. So it's like from the time and money equation, where are you gonna sacrifice on that as a client, right?
Yeah.
You pay more money, quicker timing, pay less money, shorter timing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like as in business, if we can increase the turnaround time, we can also increase the money.
Yeah.
The slower the turnaround time, the less the money, right? I mean, there's more involved in that, but like you said, people want things done quick. Okay, so chapter 15 talks about guarantees. And, like from a marketing perspective, inside, outside looking in, I've seen a lot, like on whether it's Facebook, website, people call me, whatever. I've seen a lot of offered guarantees. You know, get this result or get your money back, right? Or we guarantee that this will happen in the first 3 months. So I've seen so many different ways that people have attacked these guarantees. So I mean, what do you think the best way to put a guarantee into an offer is?
Um, this is actually really interesting. I don't like guarantees.
Okay.
My guarantee is that you get the result if you pay the money. That's how it works. Like Amazon doesn't say if you don't like your Lego set, send it back and we'll refund you. Or like you don't call Amazon on a I can't figure out how to build this Lego set. Like what do I do? It just doesn't work. It's like you have the thing. Here's the instruction manual, the SOPs, standard operating procedure. This is how it works. So with me, when I call a customer with a lead, they have to pick up the phone and book the appointment. I guarantee that I will do that. That's the only thing my customers have to do, really, for the most part. I guarantee you that you will get a call and I will say, "Hey, I have Sandra on the line here, and she wants her bathroom tile redone," and then merge the calls and dip out. I can guarantee that that will happen. I cannot guarantee after that they will close the job because that's up to you.
Yeah.
So
No.
I've put a lot of the weight on them, and I guess I do kind of have a guarantee. Like if you don't get results in 90 days, then we'll work for free with you until you do. I like that as a guarantee. However, um, you just if after 90 days, like if you do it for 90 days, it's like impossible to fail.
Yeah.
It's impossible to fail.
So the guarantee you're talking about is like kind of on the back end of the transaction, though. So you can't. I mean, if you have 100 contractors and you're sending them all these, you're forwarding phone calls to them, you can't control anything that happens on the back half.
Yeah.
You can't control whether they do a good job. You can't control whether the the person wanting the job done is going to pay them. That all that is out of your control.
Yeah.
So you can't place any guarantees on the back half. But what about? I mean, one guarantee you kind of touched on earlier is you're going to guarantee them that they'll start getting results in 2 or 3 days instead of we need like a 2 week setup period and I need to get to know you and hear everything about you. To me that's kind of that's a guarantee in a way. That's something different.
Yeah, that is fair. That I like that. It's kind of a big thing in my offer specifically. Um, but again, my biggest problem with like guarantees and these bonuses and stuff is it just seems very cookie cutter. And that's kind of my touch with Alex Hormozi. I love his stuff and I love what he does. My problem with some of the way he does things is he does like a very basic framework on how business is done. It's true, like this stuff's good. However, when you really look at it, especially in a market with oversaturated guarantees where the guarantees are all the same, make your money back in 30 days, or like we'll pay you back in 30 days. What does that imply? If I told you like we're gonna get dinner at this place, and if you don't like it, I'll pay for your dinner. Like you'd probably think like I'm not gonna like this food, you know. And so when you start putting those guarantees in the front, you do this like buy one knife get 72 for free. It kind of just turns it into like with the bonuses, it turns it into this. It feels scammy,
Yeah.
It's just so repetitive. We've seen it so many times.
I guess with the restaurant one, I mean, unless you were a new start, it's like why would you even need that guarantee, right?
Yeah,
I mean, people like you said, they will correlate that guarantee with people have had a bad experience there. Why isn't your food, and the service at that restaurant so good it speaks for itself, and you don't have to guarantee.
well, I'm talking about
anything.
you and me. Like if I said like right after this, like let's go get like Jack Brown's And
Yeah.
I said, but if you don't like it, then I'll pay for your food. You might think like maybe that place isn't very good then if you said that.
Yeah. It's like it's starting an unneeded thought process, is
Yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah. So I kind of like to have a guarantee, but my guarantee is that you are going to. I like this is exactly how I guarantee. I do some on YouTube videos too sometimes. I literally write a line, like a timeline, and on one side it says not get the results, and the other side says will get the results. I guarantee you that you will either not get the results, or somewhere in between. That's my guarantee. Yeah, I
That's good.
guarantee you'll get that. I'll tell you that because yeah, especially with lower prices. If you have lower prices too, man, those are the headaches, bro.
Yeah.
Those are the headache people that are gonna like if buying process. If you have to worry someone with a low price.
But then, I mean, if you're going to offer a guarantee, whatever one it is, you've got to have some type of stipulation in there, right? Like,
Yeah,
because if you're guaranteeing something and then the clients, they've just decided that they're not going to do any kind of work, then what's the point of that? So I think it's either got to be a guarantee on where the client's paying a lot of money for something where they might be a little more motivated to it, but then you take the risk of like, they call you and say, you guaranteed me this, and I didn't get this, and I paid you 25 grand, and I want it back. So
yeah,
it gets riskier the more money you go, or if people are willing to spend more money, they're willing to put more time into it. So I don't know. You have to have some type of um, cover on yourself with a guarantee,
yeah,
to be willing that they're even, they're not wasting your time and they're willing to put in the work.
yeah. I mean, I've never ever struggled when I make a deal for a large sum of money. Like I usually don't have. I've never had a problem with those people. Anyone who's actually paid relatively high prices for my service, I've never had a problem with. It's always been the people who I didn't charge that price, higher price to. And when someone asked me that question, which I got that question the other day, why is it so expensive? I don't understand why. It's because it has to sting a little bit. It can't not sting. It needs to be just out of reach, just a little bit too far. That when you push the trigger, you're like, oh my gosh, I just did that thing. Because now, when I call you with a lead, you're picking up the phone and you're calling them back, right? But if you pay less, a lot less, you're gonna be like, whatever, it doesn't, or if it's free, But like I said, I've never had issues with the people that I've charged higher prices for. That's just the thing. It's like they get over it. They're like, all right, this is what I paid for. This is how it works, So
Yeah, they're showing you that they're actually investing in it, right?
yeah,
They're showing you that they've put some of their money, their value into it, and they're actually trying to get something out of it.
yeah,
So I mean that makes sense.
yeah. I mean, well, I guess I would say what's your favorite part of this book?
Man, I really, I really like the first part of it. Just getting it down to the foundation, getting it down to the basics of what is an offer.
Yeah,
And really thinking about that and thinking about what a bad offer looks like, what a good offer looks like, where I need to be to provide a good offer, what I need to know about the industry. I really just like, getting my mind and thoughts flowing on, what makes a good offer for me. But he had so much, you can tell he put a lot of time and effort into this. And, there's a lot of great content in there. And
yeah.
what about you?
Um, Alex Hormozi never fails to deliver. The value equation, I look at it all the time. That value equation to me, man, that's something. But really, maybe it's the part where he talks about how to reverse engineer what you have now and your client's problems, and then create solutions. If it wasn't for that, I don't think I like would have be in the situation I'm in now.
Yeah.
And I think it was just that. But I think that I don't really have anything else to say. Do you have any thoughts?
I know, man. I enjoyed it. It's a
Yeah,
great book. I'll
yeah,
definitely be rereading it, and looking back through it.
yeah. It's nice, man. I love this book. But yeah, I think that's it. Thank you guys for watching. If you watched this far, go ahead and click the subscribe button. This is going to go on Henry's channel and my channel, so wherever you're seeing it, click the subscribe button, and we're going to make more podcasts every week. Thank you for watching.
Thank y'all.